Hey there, welcome back to the Fanboy Cantina. In this episode, we are talking about what the heck are we talking about? We are talking about the Oscars, the Academy nominees for Best Animated Feature Film in 2022. As always, we are joined by Mr. C. Mr. C, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Glad to be back once again in the cantina. Again, I guess we're just gonna keep playing off of the vocabulary. We're gonna just keep serving up different stuff within the cantina. So here comes an entirely new menu, an entirely new concoction coming out of the hot stove of the cantina. Here we go.
I I don't think of cantinas as having really hot things, but it works. It works. It's like an Irish coffee, perhaps, in the cantina, since we're a bit in the
All right.
later part of the evening.
All right, a
So
little post St. Patrick's Day Irish coffee business.
post St.
That's how
Pat, exactly. And Mr. Campbell, yes, serve it hot. Serve it hot.
Oh, I got to get some stuff out of it. We already got Jim Campbell. Well, then, hey, before we get started, then,
Yeah.
as long as we got Jim Campbell along, hey, Jim
boy.
Campbell, look what arrived. Soon enough, you'll be seeing a Jim Campbell wearing this very, very Fanboy Cantina garment right here.
Wow.
Good to know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. Later on, we'll also have a link to the store, the store of the Fanboy Cantina. There are a couple of styles, and so we'll post those.
Many a style and many a color available.
That is, you are correct, sir. All right, so let's talk about Oscars 2022. Let me put up the graphic. So for the best animated feature film, we have 5 selections. It's The Mitchells versus the Machines, Luca, Encanto, Flea, and Raya and the Last Dragon. It's a really odd, I think, race here in that with well, no, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm curious. What are your thoughts on these films? So let's hop around a little bit here. Oh, and that happens to be. Oh, how about that? It's perfectly situated in this frame. So the first one, not quite planned, was
However, did
Encanto.
that happen?
So with Encanto, I hope I have the right image. This one has a 91% on the tomato meter, a 93% score, and apparently I have not uploaded another image. But this is a Disney film that tells the story of the Madrigal family in Colombia. It's a musical. And it has been a phenomenon for the "We Don't Talk About Bruno" song that I think has infected many households around the dinner table. Mr. C, what was your feeling about this film?
Well, first, let me recognize
Yeah.
the explosivity of the song. So Bruno is now what Let It Go was a couple of years ago, or at least they're in the same ballpark. So you got to respect something that speaks to, that sings to that much of its audience and gets a widespread recognition. So there's that. Again, you can't take away from the animation team's skill and results here. They have a very stylized look. The color cooperation, this is the perfect picture to speak on the color range. Look, there's even a rainbow in the background. So you got a magic house, right? Sometimes you're looking at a haunted house vibe, but this one, you got a magic house. What's the magic house going to be able to do? Well, some scenes it does some things, other scenes it does other things. And then you got the character relationships. And again, I don't, did we say we're doing spoiler or no spoiler? But so
I think we go spoiler.
All right. Well, I was just going to say I can work with him either. It's there's not a proper villain. There's a family resolution, but there isn't like compared to classical Disney stuff. I think we're getting some clicking. There isn't there's no Jafar. There's no Ursula. There's there's no proper villain. So thereby the story structure of Encanto is interesting and different compared to its predecessors, and it did a little bit of all right.
I I really love musicals, so that's a thing for me. I enjoy musicals. Among my favorite films of 2021 was Tick Tick Boom, starring Andrew Garfield, which is a fabulous movie. This one, you have the Lin-Manuel Miranda heritage in the film, um, but I kind of preferred Moana over Encanto. Personally, I think the songs, for me, I thought the songs and the message were more compelling. But that said, with Encanto, it's unique in that it's a Disney film about generational trauma. And if you saw it in the theaters, the I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the short, but the short was actually also about generational trauma with these foxes or I don't remember actually raccoons. Um, so I thought it was a fabulous film. I thought the music was wonderful. It didn't work for me as well on first viewing. On second viewing, I enjoyed it that much more. So I think I would like to think it's a strong contender uh, in the Oscars race.
Well, it's got to be some kind of a contender, or it wouldn't have been on their list. But then it's a functional contender within the playing field of five films. Sure, it's got to have some legs to it.
Uh, Now we're gonna. Okay, so this is the one that happens to be next to my queue here. Mitchell, the Mitchells versus the Machines, and much like Encanto, this one required a second viewing for me. So this is a a coming of age movie of sorts. I guess many of these animated films are a coming of age type of story, but in this case, it's the story of the Mitchells and their cross country trip, their road trip to take Katie Mitchell to college, but then they find themselves in the middle of a robot apocalypse. I, again, on first viewing, it didn't work for me as well. On second viewing, it got better. This is the Lord and so you've got Phil Lord and Miller, Lord and Miller, working on the Mitchells and versus the Machines. Same team that worked on Into the Spider Verse. Just a vibrant film. I love the just the kinetic energy. There's also a good message, I think, about family and um, this moment I think of childhood where at least from the eyes of the heroine or the hero Katie Mitchell, it's this moment where you're pivoting from childhood to now your adulthood, and what comes along with that in those teenage years often is trying to navigate these different audiences, whether it's messages that you say to your family, messages that you say to your friends, trying to be cool or have cool like motivations, but that can really, unfortunately, alienate your family. Um, but then also for I'm sorry, the dad of the film. Um, at this point in my life where I've got my oldest who's going to be going to college in 2.5 years, which is really messed up to think about, I really identified with this movie on second viewing versus the first time where I thought, WTF is this? Yeah.
Did you have a favorite character?
Well, yeah, because it's the dad, and now I'm going to gamble on which of these ones I'm going to click. Is it the right one? No, it's the wrong one. I really need to attend rehearsal. So the Mitchells versus the Machines got a 97% on the tomato meter, 89% audience score, and yeah, so it's a family of four plus a dog, so it's like identical to my house, right? Um, Another element that I thought was unique about this movie is just the representation because it's not overtly done, but it seems like the heroine, Katie Mitchell, again the girl going off to college, is an LGBTQ person. It seems as though, although not directly said, that the little brother may be somewhere on the autism scale. Just sort of behaviorally, you pick up on these things. And so it's wonderful that you've got this movie where that's not the big deal, right? That's not the story. It's just these are the identities of the characters. Um, yeah, so I really like the movie. I would encourage you folks, if you have not seen The Mitchells, it is free on Netflix. It's a good ride.
Well, since I haven't seen it, I'll take your encouragement and try to get on it.
So let's talk about okay, this okay, yeah, I've screwed this up. All right, so we've got Luca next in the queue. This is available on Disney Plus, Pixar's Disney Pixar film, telling another coming of age story. These two sea monsters living off of the coast of the Italian Riviera, and they have this quest for uh, the adventure above the sea on land, and this quest for a Vespa of all things. Mr. C. Let me see if again I'm going to gamble. Okay, so this one got a 91% on the tomato meter, 86% audience score. How did this one land for you?
So across these metrics here, the tomato meter metrics, 3 for 3, and the audience scores 3 for 3. They're not widely disparate. They're not widely far apart from each other. So that's
Mhm.
just kind of an interesting thing to note.
Mhm.
I guess if I'm just going to make a list, what did I like about the movie? Well, you kind of opened the window there, the Vespa thing. Like I think Vespa scooters are really cool. I think there's a nice look and a style to them. So whether it's specifically the Vespa or that thing that is cool to the person, that thing that is cool to the character. So that's an interesting or a common use of a plot device in a movie. I don't know that that would qualify full on as a MacGuffin. I'm still confused as to the Hitchcock MacGuffin versus the George Lucas MacGuffin, but that's probably enough said about MacGuffinry for now. I like that. Here's one character that he finds the other character. Luca finds Alberto, Alberto finds Luca, and they start palling around. And then as other characters are added in, it's the whole thing. Like, what do I have to hide about myself? How can I show my true self? And so putting that serious layer of things into the story. But then they're young people out there having hijinks and adventures. There's a town bully. The scenery there, I haven't been to Italy, but for the airport passing through. But Italy looks a good amount like Greece, and Greece looks a good amount like Italy. So just the villagery, it's a little nice. It got me in the heartstrings. There was a sentimentality to it that it reminded me of things important to me. It reminded me of places important to me, and for another coming of age, but I'm figuring they're between 11, 12, 13 years old, so younger from the characters from the previous picture. uh
Mhm.
Look at them, they're adorbs. So and then hey, and no surprise here, given that we did a previous episode focusing on Creature of the Black Lagoon, given that I have a decent amount of Creature of the Black Lagoon inventory in the collectibles over here. It definitely had that fun, playful monster aspect as well for me. So I was pulled in my heartstrings in a good, comfortable way. I enjoyed Luke. What do you got?
I had suspected that this is well, and I don't know, but I'm gonna bet that this was your favorite of the lot, but we'll find out if that's true. And in part because of that creature from the Black Lagoon kind of aspect. Uh, yeah, unfortunately, this was my least favorite of the lot. I tried to watch it two times, and then I did just finish getting through it today, and I watched a chunk of it last night, and I finished it off just moments ago. Um, yeah, it feels a little bit uninspired for me. It's fine, right? Because it's not the Little Mermaid, right? Now you got Merboy, I guess, Merman, um, and so you've got some of the tropes of or the plot elements that you expect, right? Of adjusting from a life under the sea to now being on land and all that comes with it. Um, there is a family story there of trying one's journey and how you eventually have to move on. You have to become your own person. And for Luca, it's to not just get the Vespa, but not really to get the Vespa, but to be able to go to school, to have a future of their own, and to be able to see a world beyond what they grew up with. So those kinds of elements, the coming of age story, I thought it was very nice. There are moments in we should probably talk about technical ability, the technical merits of these films. That scene where they are barreling down in the bike race is just amazing. That is amazingly done in animated form. But I just it just I don't know if it's because my kids are a little bit older or I'm a little bit more jaded. It just didn't land for me as well, unfortunately. But it's an enjoyable ride.
Well, I'm glad to hear you reference the bicycle part, but now as I'm connecting the dots, let me stay in my lane here a little bit, but also the experience of moving on your bicycle in the breeze for some of us that especially at that age, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's a
Yeah.
really fun thing. For you, maybe less so than other people, but still the idea of it is kind of in general, it's a universal thing. The
Yeah.
idea of swimming around in water and playing around in water with your friends and maybe has a more resonance for other people, not so much for you. But yeah, so and right that why we're not just lockstep and having completely identical opinions on things here. So yeah, it spoke to me riding a bike down the hill and riding a bike not down the hill, playing around in the water at the when I was the age of these characters. Those were real big deals for me. So that's filling in a little bit more backstory on how and why this picture really played on my heartstrings in a good way.
I think it's interesting how Pixar has maybe it's not intentional. So this is off the cuff feeling that it seems like they've been more deliberate about the locations, right? It's not like in Toy Story where I have no idea where that is. It's suburban USA, right?
Yep.
Well, I guess the Cars franchise, it's Piston Springs, so there's a place, but it's not. Yeah. Um, Inside Out takes place in San Francisco, so that is kind of specifically a place. Here, we're distinctly in Italy. It comes across in the accents and the atmosphere, the feeling of the film. And then with Turning Red, the latest movie that is explicitly in Toronto, Canada. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie, but you're right. Maybe it's because I don't like swimming, or I can't really swim, and I don't really like bike riding. That maybe took me out a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so let's put up another image here. So this is Flea, and Flea is just a gripping story. Golly, I'm blanking on what platform is currently streaming it. So if you're watching and if you happen to know, post in the comments where it is. But Flea is a gripping animated documentary, telling the story of a Afghani refugee, and he is also a gay man, or when he's telling the story. But it's just a gripping tale of one man's journey from Afghanistan in childhood through to adulthood and his fleeing from war-torn Afghanistan to Russia, going through some truly horrible conditions of human trafficking and other things. And but while he's going through all of this, it's also his own journey as in understanding his sexuality. This movie got a 98% on the tomato meter, 92% audience score. Uh, I This movie has stuck with me. It has truly stuck with me, and it's a amazing choice where in the device here, or not the device, in the way that this story is told, it's narrated by this man. He's telling his story, but in order for it to come to life, they've used this animated form to bring it to help visualize, to so you could see what all is happening. Um, I thought it was gripping. It has stuck with me. It's harrowing. Um, and when you think about what's currently happening in the Ukraine, where people are suffering, people are fleeing war-torn Ukraine. Um, they're finding refuge in various places, but one hopes that, given this massive exodus of humanity, that we won't replicate the mistakes that often happens with people who are refugees. Um, so, Mr. C, I don't know if this is your kind of movie because it's awfully heavy, but I would encourage folks to check it out.
Well stated, my friend. Well stated.
All right, and so that brings us to the last film, which is okay. I clicked on the right one. It's like a bingo thing of whether I'm going to tap on the right image. So the last one is Raya and the Last Dragon. This one debuted on Disney Plus and also in theaters, I think. Although I think what actually am I right? I think it didn't really get much play in the theaters because of where we were at in the pandemic. I watched this as part of that premium thing where you pay another $20 to watch a premiere movie. So Raya and the Last Dragon is a mythical tale that takes place somewhere in Southeast Asia, telling the story of Raya's journey to get to this final dragon and ultimately bring the nation together. Mr. C, how did you feel about this movie, which got a 93% on the tomato meter and a 97% audience score?
Again, all these tomato meters and audience scores, I don't know, is there a curve breaker, but everybody's scoring really well. So that, congratulations to the class for having performed well on this metric. If we can go back to the other image there, I wanted to say, so if I'm remembering right, there were 5 different lands off of the map within the movie. So an interesting representation of that to split a top, bottom, side, middle to so we got the number of 5 for the divisions on the screen here. It was that kind of a story. First, let me come back from what I was going to say. This was absolutely a myth. It's mythical in its scope. It's mythical in its operation. And then what I was starting to say was it's got that Wizard of Oz or adventure thing, kind of where you start out with a character and then you pick up more characters along the way. So that's always an interesting, well, always when done well, an interesting kind of a journey. And I would say Raya did that well. Just for me, again, just looking at the trailers of the visuals, and so yes, that is a well drawn, well rendered dragon that's there. But I'm thinking, well, it's like a stuffed animal, kind of a dragon. It was my initial thought, and show me a more lizard like, more reptilian kind of a dragon was my read on it. So I guess I have a kind of a preference for dragons, and maybe this dragon didn't naturally fit into what kind of dragon I'm dragging around with. So I liked it. It's a good movie. Fight choreography really good, and as let me come back full circle from what I was saying. Boy, I should have had some cheat notes on all the ethnic groups within Southeast Asia that were supposed to have some kind of representation. And now I don't want to say, because then I don't want to leave one out, but let's say it was fully, whereas I don't have the details to be fully inclusive. Absolutely. The movie itself was fully inclusive. I think strategy wise, that's interesting, because then you're not only addressing one community and making the other communities wait throughout the production of another motion picture, but baked into the story. So hard to say what came first, chicken or egg, but baked into the story was we used to be different peoples in concert with one another, and then events happen, and now we're endeavoring to reunify. So again, a timeless theme. You could say more relevant now than ever, or you could say always an important thing to be trying to figure out. I'll also say this, then playing the myth on that level of reunifying peoples, but then as mythology is a hero's quest and a hero's journey. So besides looking for an identity and a unification of the peoples, the lead character in any mythological story has to get themselves together and incorporate their different, if it's their 5 different or whatever the number is, their different pieces of themselves into a unified character. So I would say this myth plays on, as do other myths, on a few different levels, and there's some real nice nuance points in the way this myth manifests itself. And what was your read?
No, I think you said it very well. It's the hero's journey being applied to this Southeast Asian heroine. I overall enjoyed the film. I thought it was enjoyable. There is a but. I agree with you also on the dragon. And just with this image, you could just sort of see the different styles of animation or how these characters are rendered. You have the sharpness of the Gemma Chan character who's in the upper left-hand corner, and then you've got Aquafina as the dragon, and it looks like a stuffed animal, and it's jarring. It took me out of the film to watch her. Um, and then, but I think it's a strong story. It does feel off at times, and I think this one may have struggled also in production, where, if I'm not mistaken, like Kelly Marie Tran, who plays the role of Raya, she did a lot of the voice work in her house, right? So everybody was kind of detached and did this work. And there's just some moments where it just seems to linger a little bit too long. The editing could have been a little bit more tight. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. The themes of trust and faith, faith in a cause or faith in the nation, uh, having trust in your fellow person and your fellow countrymen. It's a timely and timeless message. But I do think there are some rough patches in how the story came together. Last thing I'll say on the representation point, it's like that it's this part of the world, right, Southeast Asia, being realized in a Disney film, which is unheard of, right? It has not really been done. It has not been done to date. Though on the voice work, they had not many people from Southeast Asia. They had people from other parts of Asia. So that was an unfortunate misfire. Kelly Marie Tran is of Vietnamese American descent, but beyond that, kind of a misfire. Yeah.
I'll say the dragon in motion, literally
Uh-huh.
in animation, in animated motion, plays better for me than it did as a still image as depicted here. I'll
Right.
say the other dragons also had a real, the movement, the flow. I did appreciate and get into that.
Yep. Yep. No, and I agree. I agree. There were moments with the dragons together that were pretty compelling, and the fight choreography, as you said earlier, was really stellar. All right, so what do you think, Mr. C? What do you think? What is your pick for the best animated feature film?
Oh, before I go, let me just
Oh yeah,
add
yeah.
in one additional note there. There were the different fighting styles. So I did pick up on
Ah,
that early on with again, my pronunciations may be well off, with the Penjik Salata with the stick work fighting. Then later, so there were a great, again, done better if I took more detailed notes. But in summary, there were a great many fighting styles incorporated into well choreographed fights, and that was a piece of enjoyment for me within Raya. Now back to, who do I think? What's my prediction? I predict the same as now as the next time you call for a prediction from me, I'm going to go, how do I know what's going to happen? I got no crystal ball. I'm not good at predictions. I'm lucky if I can figure out for the fly which hand is his fly hand and which hand is his real hand. But that being said, which one did I like the most was Luca. So go Luca. Get out there, Luca, and see what you can bring home. Little statue, a little Oscar Man statue. But if anybody else takes it, I'm not going to be hurt. I'm not going to be bent out of shape. I'm not going to be a boycotter. Whoever takes it, hats off to you for pulling down the big prize.
I would be surprised of the list. For me, so I'm going to go bottom up. I think of the list, I think the long shots for me are Raya and Luca. I think both of them do have different types of issues story wise or how they were executed. They're both very compelling. They're both enjoyable to watch. But I think they both have different sort of issues attached to them that make at least in terms of who's going to win, I do not think they are the strongest of contenders. I think in terms of technical merit, Mitchell's and the Machines is just a vibrant. Just a vibrant film. You think of other things that Lord and Miller have been a part of, and how they've just sort of broken barriers or broken ceilings in animation, and just groundbreaking stuff. And they've done that again here, I think, with Mitchell's and the Machines, where it's perhaps not the type of YouTube or social media type of content that I am normally accustomed to, but they've incorporated it into this film. And again, as I said about the representation aspects and just the core story itself, or the heart behind the story, yeah, it really did actually touch me. So I think that one's a strong contender. I don't think Encanto, as much as Encanto is a global phenomenon, I don't think it's going to win. Instead, my pick for the Oscar is Flea. Flea was just, as I said, it was a movie that stuck with me. It manages to take this narrative and make it like just this other thing, where it's just such a compelling, engaging, enthralling a story that you are invested in. And as I said, it just stuck with me. And the idea of there's been other documentaries with animation incorporated, but the way that they've done it here, I think is just stellar. The animation itself didn't, so this is maybe the minus aspect, or why it may not win. The animation itself, I feel like, is a little bit rough. That's an intentional choice. It's not nearly as slick or as vibrant as any of the other, but it's been used, I think, is just groundbreaking in its own way. So that's my pick, at least. Mr. C, I'm haunted by Ronald McDonald, the Funko behind you.
Maybe I'll just try to.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
And at one point, I noticed that Vincent Price there kind of was taking a little nap, so I was kind of trying to half-hide Vincent Price, but then I wasn't being very still, so let me do. Okay, there we go.
There you go. No, you're all right. You're all right. I can deal with a little bit of trauma. I think about clowns. Well, if you are watching later, if you're watching right now, we would love to hear from you in the comments. So post in the comments your feelings about the best animated feature film. The Oscars are on this Sunday, no less. So it's right around the corner. I am hoping to watch Belfast before Sunday because I've seen all but two of the Best Picture nominees. I don't think I'm going to see Licorice Pizza, but I would at least like to see Belfast. So, all right. Any closing thoughts or comments before we wrap up, Mr. C?
Always good to stretch our direction and be off at a different degree within a 360 circle here, so we can cover more territory and just continue to be able to focus on a different subject. So I'm on board with that. I hope people are gonna find a minute of enjoyment out of our lists here and out of our observations on these motion pictures. And hey, we'll good. Let's check back after the results are all out for all the pictures and see how all that goes, and then we'll be back again sometime soon with some other business. We got Moon Knight coming out on the Disney Plus in a little while, and I'm sure we'll get to that in our tradition of not being all the way as a quick release right after the thing comes out. So we got that on the horizon. How about you, pal?
Yeah, no, I got nothing. Yes, there's so much other stuff for us to cover imminently. Very much looking forward to Moon Knight. I could vent about the Walmart Collector Con exclusives today, but I don't want to. I don't want to bring it all down. Yeah.
That's a different story for different.
Yeah, yeah. See, have you seen them all, Mr. C?
No.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I have, and
Okay.
yes, I did see. So I saw the Star Wars animated series. I watched them in. I watched them first all in English dubbed, and then I watched a few of them with in Japanese with the subtitles. I loved them. I absolutely loved them. Some of them resonated better than others for me. The one with what is it? I think Toby, the robot. Yeah, that one I did not enjoy as much. But yeah, I really enjoyed it to the point of amongst the videos, Mr. C, that I would like to do, but I have not gotten to work on, is a custom Black Series figure based on one of the characters from Star Wars Visions. Yeah.
Well, you got me curious now.
Yeah. See, that's why we need like Casual Crafter or somebody on this channel to help me figure out how to do. Well, where did it even start with this thing? I'm like intimidated. So, anyways. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you could do us a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. This has been the Fanboy Cantina. Take care. Good night.